Semzabalazweni Baba kuphi labo bantu Emzabalazweni 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 uKhrizani bambulala wayesemzabalazweni uSolomoni bambulala wayesemzabalazweni uWandile bambulala wayesemzabalazweni emzabalazweni 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 mandla athu
Now, the reason we had to ask someone to sing is because the program director cannot sing. So, don't have high expectations of me. I would not lead a song to save my life. But we now are waiting for someone to lead us in the national anthem so that the business of the conference can start. Of the Congress. Keep on singing, comrades. We will tell you when we ask you to sit down. Mandla, we are ready to start. Can all delegates please rise for the national anthem? Male comrades know they must take off their hats. It is the most important song of the nation. We are now saluting the flag. Okay. Mandla. Thank you, comrades. We are now about to receive the opening address by the Deputy President of the movement, who is here accompanied by the Deputy Secretary General, Comrade J.C. Duarte, the Treasurer General of the ANC, Comrade Zweli Mkhize. On the podium, we also have the former President of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Lulu L.J. Johnson. We also have Isitwalandwe, Ubaba u-Andrew Mlangeni, representing the founders of the ANC Youth League. You see, all generations are here. We also have the former Secretary General of SAICO and the ANC Youth League, Comrade Rapu Mulekane. Where is he? There is a seat for you here, SG. We also have the former Deputy President, Comrade Nkos. We have the former Deputy Secretary General Billy Masetla. The former Deputy Secretary General Mpole Khoro. Or former SG, actually, former SG. We have the former Deputy Secretary General Kiro Temba Kinana. We have the former Deputy President Joe Maswanganyi. He might need some light. He has my problems. We have the former Deputy President Mankwe Mushaluga. He also has my problem. He might need some light. We also have the former TG Pemi Majodina. We have the former National Coordinator, Comrade Makasela. The former Chairperson of the ANC Youth League, Western Cape, Bongani Mkongi. We have the former SG of MKMVA, a former combatant, member of the NEC, Comrade Ayanda Dlodlo. We will introduce other guests, and we have other former members of the NEC and Risnell among us, Comrade Sis Dipuo Peters, Comrade Sis Mama Dipuo Peters, and we will introduce our international guests as the program continues. There is a very tall man who is supposed to come to the stage to usher in the Deputy President. He must come now. Even if you try to hide him, you can't hide him, he's too tall. Afro. Bantu be sound lapho emuva kuthiwa niyazi kumele nifakeni. So play it now.
Phobia. Why self-hate? Why love Samora Machel, Eduardo Montane, Maria Mutola, yet hate Mozambicans? Why selective morality? People why love Julius Mwalimu Nyerere, Remy Ongala, yet hate Tanzanians?
Lai Baba. Lai Baba.
Ma Africa, why selective love? Ma Africa, why selective morality? Why Afrophobia? Why self-hate? Why Afrophobia? Why self-hate? why love Chinua Achebe, Didan Kimati Ngutula Fiongo, yet hate people from Kenya. Why love Samora Machel, Eduardo Montane, Maria Mutola, yet hate Mozambicans. People why love Kwame Nkrumah, Abedi Pele, Kofi Annan, yet hate people from Ghana. Why love Thomas Mamfumo, Oliver Mtukudzi Bidanto, yet hate Zimbabwean people. Descendants of great African kings and queens. We are the sons and daughters of royalty. Africa for Africans. Why selective love? Why selective morality? Why Afrophobia? Why love Samora Machel, Eduardo Montane, Maria Mutola, yet they hate and kill the Mozambicans? People why love Julius Nyerere, Remy Ongala, yet they hate people from Tanzania? Why love Kadushi Mwala, yet they hate Zambians? People why love Kwame Nkrumah, Abedi Pele, Kofi Annan, yet they hate people from Ghana? Why love Jamila, Samuel Eto'o? for Africans. Human slaughter is not an act of heroism. In Africa can never be for rain. In Africa, Monday from DRC.
Africa, united. Africa, 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 Africa. Umoja, Africa, Africa, Africa.
Kaminkuruma,
Africa,
Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Sudan, Africa, for the great fathers, Nelson Mandela, Africa.
Africa,
Our continent, we are Africa. Africa, we are one. This is the song that was propagated by Comrade Martin Tetwa, the Minister of Arts and Culture, when there was xenophobia in South Africa. That not in our name, that not in our name. South Africa is part of the African Union. South Africa is a part of Cleft Games. Africans have harbored us in the neighboring states. In the neighboring states, for the liberation struggle, neighboring countries harbored our guerrillas. The MK, you can name them, all our leaders were harbored in the neighboring states. Think of Walter Sisulu as we do it. Think of Kizani, Josulofo, Lilian Boy, Atileti Tambo, Solomon Masango, Peter Mugaba, Tutuzi Goma, Ahmed Khadijon. Baba, 10 months. Moses Kocha. African National Congress.
Together.
Let there be peace in Africa.
Africa United!
Thank you very much. Words of wisdom have to be ushered. A better world have to be built. Listen to the voice of reason. Now is the time to unchain the minds. Now is the time to unchain the hearts. Images of a new dream, images of a new society should emerge. Hearken the voice of reason. Racial hatred must cease. Tribal hang-ups must end. Killing machines must end. Death factories must close. A ticking time bomb must be diffused. And the dove of peace must reign. Ethnic conflict, tribal conflict, racial venom is like a social dynamite. It's like a revival of a perilous syndrome, a syndrome of death and destruction. This is the voice of concern, a voice of social redemption. An eye for an eye makes the world blind. Reconciliation and reconstruction is like a dark cloud giving way to the blue sky. Humankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to humankind. Africa and the world cannot afford self-pity. If something is not worth living for, it is not worth dying for. Yes, this is the voice of reason in search of liberty eternal. Humankind, think positive. Choose life and not death. This is the voice of reason that shakes the conscience of humankind. That was the voice of reason. That was the voice of reason. That was the voice of reason. Reason. Are coming. Marching to harmony. Marching to victory. Marching to destiny. I'm the confidence builder. I'm the nation builder. I'm the voice of the nation. I am the architect of the mind. Let me decolonize the colonized. Let me raise the fallen. Let me inspire the downtrodden. I am the confident builder. The time is now. The time to lead is now. The time to overcome is now. I am the confidence builder. I am the confidence builder. I am the nation builder. I am the voice of the nation. I am the RTP of the mind. Let me humanize the dehumanized. Let me humanize the demonized. Let me restore the lost esteem and dignity. I am the confidence builder. Yes, I am the confidence builder. Marching to harmony. Marching to victory. Marching to destiny. African National Congress. The time is now. The time to lead is now. The time to overcome is now. I am the confidence builder. Humankind overcome man-made barriers. Overcome the syndrome of feeling inferior. Seize the initiative. Seize the opportunity. I am the confidence builder. Marching to harmony. Marching to victory. Marching to destiny. Marching to harmony. Celebration time. Marching to victory. Marching to destiny. Like a rising sun, rise above all odds, rise above the victim stage and occupy the center stage. Become creators and masters of your own destiny, from victimhood to masterhood. Let this be done before dawn, and I shall rest in my eternity with a broad smile.
Walala wasala.
The time is now. The time to live is now. The time to overcome is now. I am the confident
Our Deputy President, Ramaphosa. Thank you. Siyahamba manje. Tami, whoa. Before Pitori, Tami. The stalwarts. We give you the Pitori after this song, Pitori. The veterans, the heroes, the legends. From Rivona to Robben Island Prison, from Robben Island Prison to Portsmouth Prison, from Portsmouth Prison to the bigger prison in South Africa, I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From prison to prison, a government Mbeki was released and could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From prison restrictions to house arrest, Eric Wala released both arms paralyzed. The Lion of Midlands could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From Rivonia to Robben Island Prison, from Robben Island Prison to Portsmouth Prison, from Portsmouth Prison to Victor Verster Prison, Nelson Mandela's release became the song of the apartheid regime. Nelson Mandela is imprisoning himself. P.W. Botha exclaimed that Nelson Mandela refused to denounce violence behind bars, that Nelson Mandela refused to be released and settled in Transkei, a Banana Republic. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Let me remember Chief Bambata. Let me remember Bambata Rebellion. Let me remember the warrior. Chief Bambata preferred war and death rather than servitude on the throne. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, to the kings and chiefs of our struggle. I speak of Chief Makoma. I speak of Mantantisi. I speak of King Ketwayo Kampande. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Let me dedicate my poetic praise to the family units of our struggle. Family units of our struggle. Families that suffered, persevered and suffered. Families whose husbands, the Rivonia trials. Families whose husbands, whose wives became political widows, whilst you, the real husbands, remained alive in the dungeons of hell. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. So much has been said from time immemorial, from Reagan administration to Thatcherism, from Thatcherism to P.W. Botha, that they are terrorists, the ANC. No, I call you combatants, I call you heroes, I call you liberators, I call you veterans of our struggle. I speak of Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, I speak of Ahmed Kathrada, I speak of Elas Montwaled, I speak of Eric Wala. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, Dennis Gonbeck, Chief Langa Libalele Dube, Pixley Gaseme, Solega Plati, Dr. Koma, Dr. Moraka, Dr. Beas Noti, Dr. Yusuf Datu, Babu Chilam. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, Moses Mapita, Moses Kotane, Chris Dlamini. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, John Komomo, Johnny Makatini, Elijah Bahai, Oscar Mpeta, Veskamp. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, Moses Mapita, Moses Kotane. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, Imbogoto, Inzalabantu, Atileti Tambo, Albertina Sisulu, Betha Kowa, Charlotte Matleke, Dorata Amara, Dorothy Nyembe, Ruth Festi, Ruth Mompati, Ray Alexander, Rahil Mamusa, Vesta Smith, Victoria Mtlenge, Winnie Mandela. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle, Lilian Ngoi. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle in Zalabantu, the young lions, Mtutuzi Kuma, Peter Mokaba, Sole Matangum, Peggy Mlangeni, Ahmed Katrat. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Izibongo, Senkosikazi Kretwa, Giga Wakotwa Anjani, Amatau, Anjango, Oliver, Reginald Tambo. Oh, for organize R for regiments, T for takeover. The movement of the people survived all episodes of tragedies, from tragedies to infiltration, from infiltration to ambush, from ambush to resistance, from resistance to prison, from prison to resilience, from resilience to power and freedom. Pitori, bye-bye. Pitori, Pitori, Pretoria. Everything happened in Pretoria. Asiya matot. Soundman, Walala wasala.
Pretoria, capital city of apartheid. Pretoria, where our lives are run, draconian laws authorized. From birth certificate to death certificate, Pretoria, yes, home affairs to education departments, the army and the tanks in Pretoria, union building in Pretoria, central prison, Pretoria, execution, yes, capital punishment, Pretoria, stadium Sumasi shootings in Pretoria. Pretoria, why you? Is it a matter of coincidence, accidents, or by design? Pretoria, 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 Pretoria. Zwakhe mbuli man sibambe mbuli lidisa kujoyina ngombili sibambe mahlaba nomhlubulo bahlabana ngekhala madoda mayivala ngemvala thina sivala amakhanda madoda eminyango sibambe wena kana mntombiyane man silima sikanotekele shaya umanqaqa sibambe tournament shintsha maza shamaza tournament sense gear U10 sibambe mbuli man bangibiza bathi pictures of people's poets babonke bathi lang man I say sugar cheese kuzu
backers, please come on. Stand up. Okay, DJ, please. Amanda, DJ. Thank you, comrades. I'll come back again. Now, the Congress is now starting. We want to welcome all of you who have made it through the eye of the zebra. Through the stripes of the zebra. Now, there's an important announcement, comrades, we wish to make. Yesterday, one delegate to the Congress on their way from the Eastern Cape delivered a healthy baby. Her name, I think, kuzoba no Congress. The baby and the mother are safe in Bloemfontein at the hospital. And we want to congratulate the comrade who is a male nurse who helped to deliver the baby, who is a delegate here. This is the youth of the ANC we are talking about. Represents all strands of our society. We are going to give this country the youth league it deserves. Now, I want to ask Comrade Matume, the chairperson of Gauteng, where are you? To please come forward and welcome delegates to the Congress. The business of Congress now begins. Chairperson of the Gauteng province. Comrades, let me announce 2 rules that we are going to follow. Rule number 1 is there will be no hissing, heckling, comments, booing of any delegate or comrade here inside the plenary of the Congress. It is the highest decision-making body. If you don't respect yourself, at least respect the Congress. Secondly, there will be no singing of divisive songs. You can sing about me, you can sing about the president of the ANC. No, seriously. You can sing about the ANC, the president of the ANC, but not about anyone in a divisive manner. Let's respect the plenary of the Congress. Let us show the country that the ANC Youth League means business. Comrade Matume.
Amandla, Amandla, Matla, Aruna, all power to the people. Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva Young Communist League, viva! Viva COSAS, viva! Viva SASCO, viva! Amandla! Long live President Jacob Zuma, long live! Long live Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, long live! Long live Deputy Secretary General Gwede Mantashe, long live! Long live TSG, JC Duarte, long live! Long live TG Zweliwe, long live. Long live National Chairperson Balega Mbete, long live. Amanda, our two. Thanks, comrade, Program Director. Leadership of the ANC present here today is led by the Deputy President, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. All other leaders of the ANC present here today, from the provincial structures, national structure, regional structures, leaders of the ANC Youth League, leaders of the ANC Veterans League, leaders of the MKMVA present here, members of the ANC Youth League National Task Team, former leaders and national office bearers of the ANC Youth League present today, ANC Youth League PEC members from all provinces present, ANC Youth League leaders from all lower structures present, leaders from our Progressive Youth Alliance, distinguished national and international guests present here, branch delegates. Comrades, Gauteng is a home to everyone in our country, so feel at home. It was here exactly 71 years ago that our glorious movement, the ANC Youth League, was founded. It was in this city that the ANC Youth League was re-established 25 years ago on the 27th of October, 1990. Following many years of absence in the aftermath of the burning of the ANC in 1960 by the brutal apartheid regime. It was in this region in 1944 when the manifesto of the ANC Youth League was adopted and stating the following, open quote, "The formation of the African National Congress Youth League is an answer and assurance to the national movement that African youth will not allow the struggles and sacrifices of their fathers to disappear in vain. Our fathers fought so that we are better equipped. When our time comes, we should start and continue where they stopped." Close quote. The National Congress is an important ingredient to re-engineer a radical spirit and breathing of a fresh air in the youth politics by breeding new ideas to reposition the ANC Youth League for the future. We are looking forward to delegates reflecting on policy issues independently of constraints imposed by leadership election. At the end of the day, the purpose and program of the ANC Youth League must come first. There has been a missing vigor and voice of roaring young lions for a very long time in the national discourse. This National Congress provides an opportunity for delegates to deliberate on political spine of the Youth League. Lessons should be drawn from the 2 years' time wherein not only the voice of the Youth League, but its program and action were missing. Those of us who are assembled here today in the city of Johannesburg should regard ourselves as the leading detachment of the generation of young people who are aware of their historic mission, are capable and ready of fulfilling it, rather than betraying the mandate entrusted on us by the millions of the youth of our country. This in recognition of the insightful assertion by one of our own continent's greatest young revolutionary writers, Frantz Fanon, who said, "Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it." Our African National Congress is required to reclaim lost ground in urban areas and informal settlements, in township and rural areas. Wherever it was lost, was not only lost to other organizations, but to criminal syndicates who are destroying the youth of our country through crime, including drugs. The National Congress is taking place at a more convenient time for the ANC. It presents an opportunity for deeper reflections and the launch of a concentrated youth campaign towards a decisive victory for local government elections next year, in the 2016 local government election. Our movement in particular and people in general are waiting anxiously for the outcome of our deliberation. They are keen to know how this outcome will radicalize the ANC Youth League after the gravely lull of the past 2 years. They wonder what our next battle cries are going to be. They want to know what battle orders we shall carry forward side by side as we lead the youth of our country. They are interested to know what we will say about the escalation of our struggle, especially the imperative of placing our democratic transition firmly onto a second and more radical phase. The youth wants to know what solutions the Congress will adopt to deal with the problems persisting high levels of racialized and gendered social inequity, unemployment, and poverty, which mostly affect young people. These are but part of the persisting legacy of colonialism and apartheid, as well as a systematic international economic crisis and structural inequality between the world's nations. Mainly as a result of the system of imperialism, the youth of our country reasonably expect us to discuss these problems holistically and point out the way forward. We are expected to work out the basic context of the task of the youth under the leadership of the ANC Youth League in relation to the perspective adopted in Mangaung at the 53rd National Conference of the ANC. That of a second, more radical phase of our democratic transition. More and more, the most favored news by the media are the news of politics that attack the ANC and the ANC-led government and alliance. The youth wants to know what solutions the Congress will put forward to this regime change agenda. In its strategy and tactics document adopted at the consultative conference in exile in Morogoro in 1969, the ANC states the following: our drive towards national emancipation is therefore in a very real way bound up with economic emancipation. We have suffered more than just national humiliation. Our people are deprived of their due in their country's wealth. Their skills have been suppressed, and poverty and starvation has been their life experience. The correction of this centuries-old economic injustice lies at the very core of our national aspirations. We do not underestimate the complexities which will face the people's government during the transformation period, nor the enormity of the problems meeting the economic needs of the masses of the oppressed people. But one thing is certain: in our land, this cannot be effectively tackled unless the basic wealth, the basic resources are at the disposal of the people as a whole and are not manipulated by sections or individuals, be they white or black. This is where our call for economic freedom in our lifetime derives its origin. In his 2011 January 8 statement in Pitamukaba Stadium in Limpopo, Polokwane, the ANC took this further when it said, political emancipation without economic transformation is meaningless. That is why we have to commit ourselves to economic freedom in our lifetime. And the ANC must continue to be in the forefront of that transformation. As the ANC Youth League, we took our cue from the source of political guidance, the ANC, and not some plagiaristic Johnny-come-late lies who claim authority on things they know nothing about. The ANC Youth League must continue to be in the forefront of youth struggles to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. This National Congress should work out the detailed program of action which should respond to the alarming factors affecting the youth towards economic freedom in our lifetime. In the same vein, we must correct the mistakes of the past, the mistakes which mainly occurred in the period between our 23rd National Congress and Mangaung, the 53rd National Congress, or even to some extent thereafter, leading to the appointment of the national task teams 2 times in a row. This must be responsive to what Amilcar Cabral, one of our continent's greatest revolutionaries, identified in the Weapons of Theory as part of the struggle which we must consider to be fundamental. And he went on further to say, the struggle against our own weaknesses. The ANC Youth League Congress in Gauteng once more welcomes all here present, the disruptors, the enemy agents, the West drivers who Tambo spoke about when he closed the Morogoro Consultative Congress in 1969 are gone. We hope that none remain behind. We therefore wish the 25th National Congress of the ANC success it deserves. Thank you. Amandla! Away too.
Thank you, Comrade Matume. Comrades of Gauteng, please come in. Comrades, can we sing? Meanwhile, the Deputy President is about to speak, but he can't speak when there is an entire delegation standing outside. Hey man, high revolutionary morale, high discipline. And Uleni man, sing.
Yes. Oh, Mike.
Hasna falo, hasna falo, hasna falo. Cheers.
Kaupindu buye Krisane lenda wesikuyo siyayisaba lenda wesikuyo Kaupindu buye Krisane yo lenda wesikuyo siyayisaba lenda wesikuyo
Matla, Yaruna, Matimba, Aina. Hey, comrades, this thing of singing. Hey. The Deputy President is now going to come to the stage. Welcome him properly.
No. Huh?
Amandla! Amandla! Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Roar, young lions, roar! Roar, young lions, roar! Viva Women's League, viva! Amandla! Ndimasiari. Inhlekani. Molweni. Sanibonani. Goeiemiddag. Good afternoon. Yo. Oh, inhlekani. Anihleki. Comrades, Comrade Chairperson, NTT Convener, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, NTT Coordinator, Comrade Nathi Mthethwa, members of the National Task Team, Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Jesse Duarte, the Treasurer General of the mighty, glorious African National Congress, who handles all the monies of the African National Congress. Dr. Zweli Mkhize, members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, the leaders of the Alliance who are here, the leadership of the Progressive Youth Alliance, Comrade Andrew Mlangeni Isithwalandwe, one of our outstanding leaders, the leaders of the NYDA who are here, the leaders of COSAS, of SASCO, and the YCL. Distinguished guests, particularly those guests who have come to attend this conference representing other fraternal organizations from other countries like Zimbabwe and a number of other countries. We applaud you, we greet you, and we welcome you to this conference. On behalf of President Jacob Zuma and the entire National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, I convey revolutionary greetings to all of you and wish you well as you hold your Congress. I also convey to the membership of the Youth League our profound appreciation for the painstaking effort that you've been involved in holding this conference or making it possible. We applaud the Youth League for undertaking this challenging task of rebuilding, revitalizing, and uniting the ANC Youth League, an ANC Youth League which has such a glorious history, an ANC Youth League which has such a great pedigree. We also want to thank comrades who were asked by the National Executive Committee to be part of the National Task Team to undertake this task of convening this conference, of helping to unite the Youth League. They face enormous challenges, but today we want to applaud them for the excellent job they have done, because they have truly delivered on the mandate they were given. I also wish to thank the comrades who preceded their effort, who were members of the NTT, who also did an excellent job and prepared the ANC Youth League for a conference which was later transformed into a policy conference. Let us also applaud them, because they crisscrossed the length and the breadth of this country preparing for this moment. The holding, comrades, the holding of this Congress is a huge milestone. It is a huge achievement. We want to congratulate you for your perseverance. You all indeed faced many obstacles along the way to arriving here at Gallagher Estate. Some of the obstacles were internal, and yet some were also external. You also faced court challenges that were aimed at stopping your march to renewing the soul and the fiber of the ANC Youth League. There were those who felt that this Congress should not proceed and rushed to courts to stop you from having this great historic moment with destiny, where you are going to renew the Youth League. Court challenges to democratic organizational processes have now become a new tendency in our organization. They are creeping in, and they form the danger of having the ANC being run by the courts. They want to reduce your glorious movement from being an organization whose organizational programs, whose mandate will now be determined by the courts. We cannot allow our ANC to be controlled and to be run by the courts. We are a democratic organization that is regulated by our constitution, a constitution that is based on democratic values and ethical conduct. Those who rush to courts clearly do not love the African National Congress. Those who rush to courts clearly love themselves more than they love the African National Congress. We applaud you for your discipline. We applaud you for your commitment. And we applaud you for your patience. You have been patient, and this is the moment you have all been waiting for. It is now here. That moment has arrived. This process of rebuilding the ANC Youth League has provided many valuable lessons, both for the ANC Youth League itself and the mother body, the ANC itself. There are valuable lessons that we have learned, and we must acknowledge and understand that if we are to build a stronger, more coherent national liberation movement, we need to heed the lessons that we have learned. And some of those lessons, comrades, are whenever we see signs of indiscipline in our structures, we are required to act immediately and not wait. Whenever we see deviant behavior that militates against the values of the African National Congress, we are required to act immediately and stop those actions. If we do not do so, the ANC will be up for grabs by anybody who wants to grab it and take it in any direction that they want to. The 25th National Congress of the ANC Youth League takes place at a crucial moment in our country's history. It takes place when the economic fortunes of our country are not as great as we want them to be. It takes place when unemployment continues to rise, but particularly amongst young people. It takes place when inequality is increasing and poverty is also widening. It also takes place when the whole world is undergoing enormous economic challenges. We have won the political freedom for which so many of our people fought and sacrificed. Now we are all called upon to enter a new phase of struggle in which all our efforts, all our resources, and all our energies are directed towards the achievement of economic emancipation. What we achieved in 1994 was just a breakthrough. It was a breakthrough in that it gave us an opportunity, particularly to the African National Congress, to continue prosecuting the struggle on a number of fronts, knowing that our victory is even much more certain. As we have done before at critical moments in our history, we once again look to the youth to lead the struggle that we are now going to get engaged in, the economic struggle, so that we can have economic freedom within our lifetime, an economic freedom which will be delivered by the young people of our country. And that's what you represent. We look to this Congress to provide direction and to provide the necessary impetus. We look to you, comrades, to enrich our understanding of radical economic transformation and to advance policies that will free our young people from a life of want and indignity. Young people, therefore, must be centrally involved in this new struggle. Young people must therefore also be involved in the implementation of the National Development Plan, as well as the ANC's 53 conference resolutions, as well as the ANC's 2014 election manifesto. We must commend the ANC youth for the role it has played in helping to shape the mandate of this ANC administration and government. Thanks to your efforts, this administration that is ably led by our President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma has a clear program to tackle youth unemployment. You have ensured that our government does have a clear program through which we can tackle youth unemployment. Thanks to your efforts, this government has committed to set aside 60% of jobs on new infrastructure programs or projects to young people. Thanks to your effort, we have a target to provide work opportunities through the Public Works Program to 4 million young people over the next 5 years. These are victories that you have achieved. In case you did not know, it was through your representatives that you were able at the ANC conference to insist that the program of empowering young people is put at the center of what the ANC does. Now we need to work together to ensure that these commitments are realized and that young people become active participants in the economy of our country. There is a great potential in the fact that most of our working age is a population of young people. We have a significant opportunity to harness the energy, the innovation, the creativity, and the vibrancy of young people in pursuit of a sustainable economic growth. Education and skills development must stand at the center of our efforts. The Youth League needs to mobilize young people to take advantage of the many learning and training opportunities that are being made available. As the President travels to various countries in the world, he is offered training opportunities for young people. As a number of other colleagues in the executive travel to a number of countries, we are continuously offered a number of training opportunities. These are opportunities that the ANC Youth League must make sure that they are taken up by young people. These are opportunities that the ANC Youth League must keep on its radar screen to make sure that the young people in our country take them up on an ongoing basis. To go and study overseas, yes. To go and acquire skills, yes. To come back and contribute to the growth of our country. That is a task that the ANC Youth League must take up with great enthusiasm. The ANC Youth League needs to be at the forefront of struggles for better funding for education. The ANC Youth League is the one that must be leading the campaign for the increase of better funding for young people, for education in TVET colleges and universities. That must be your task as the ANC Youth League. This is the youth that will lead our knowledge economy. This is the youth that is fascinated by scientific innovation and its use in the enhancement of our lives. This is a youth league that should attract highly educated young men and women. It should attract entrepreneurs. It should attract aspirant industrialists within its ranks. And yes, it must also attract the male nurse who delivered an ANC baby yesterday. That is the youth league that we must become. It must become a youth league that is deeply immersed in all the drivers that are going to deliver economic emancipation for our people. That is the type of youth league that we want. It is a youth league that values knowledge, a youth league that celebrates innovation. Comrades, the ANC Youth League needs to unite the youth of our country. It needs to work day and night, uniting the young people of our country. Young people of this country are hungry for leadership. They are hungry for ideas. They want a home. Only the ANC Youth League can provide them with that leadership and a home. There is no other organization that can provide young people with the type of hope that can give them hope. Just as the African National Congress is the only organization that can give our people hope, that has always given our people hope, and that has given them a better future. So the ANC Youth League must be a home of young people. A home of young people is a place that is welcoming. It is a place that is warm. It is a place that is filled with comfort. It is a place that is filled with history, with ideas. That is what the ANC Youth League must become once again. It must work to build the South Africa envisaged by the late President Oliver Tambo when he said, "The doors of learning and of culture shall be open to all. A South Africa in which the young of our country shall have the best that mankind has produced, in which they shall be taught to love the people of all races, to defend the equality of the people, to honor creative labor, to uphold the oneness of mankind, and to hate untruths, immorality, and avarice." I want to repeat. President Oliver Tambo said, "The doors of learning and of culture shall be open to all. A South Africa in which the young of our country shall have the best that mankind has produced, in which they shall be taught to love the people of all races, to defend the equality of the people, to honor creative labor, to uphold the oneness of mankind, and to hate untruths, immorality, and avarice." We now live in an era where a lot of untruths are told by all and sundry. And the ANC Youth League must make sure that untruths are banned from the lexicon of the ANC political language. We must stick to the truth. We must stick to what is true at all times. It is the responsibility of the Youth League to break down barriers of division and create a country where there will be neither whites nor blacks, just South Africans, free and united in diversity. It needs to occupy all spaces in our society. There must be no space that is left unoccupied by the ANC Youth League. There must be no place where the ANC Youth League is not present. The ANC Youth League must have wall-to-wall presence throughout the length and the breadth of our country. As people turn around a corner, they must know that the ANC Youth League is present, just as the African National Congress is present throughout the country. The Youth League must make itself attractive to young people. It must become their magnet. We must be able to be the light that is shining and attract the moths, all the insects that fly. They must come to the light. The ANC Youth League must be seen as the light to young people in our country. It needs to be present in places of learning, in factories, and on farms. It must be on the radio. It must be on Twitter. It must be on Facebook. It must be in thousands of discussions groups across the country. It must engage in the battle of ideas. Comrades, this is probably one of the most important areas where the Youth League needs to make its presence felt. The ANC Youth League must be the defender of the African National Congress at all costs, at all times, wherever the African National Congress is attacked. We must know that we have a line of defense, and that line of defense, the first line, the second line, the last line, is the African National Congress Youth League. That must be the role of the Youth League. But it must be a Youth League that must engage in the battle of ideas. We must see that the ANC Youth League engages with those who hate the ANC. It must engage with those who want the ANC to fail. It must engage with those who want to defeat the ANC. It must engage with those who insult the ANC, those who called our leaders names, those who degrade the name of our president must be engaged by the ANC Youth League. The ANC Youth League, comrades, must build alliances. It must be an organization that develops expertise in building alliances. During the Defiance campaign, the leaders of the ANC Youth League were the key leaders of that Defiance campaign. Our movement was able to lead our people in defiance in the 50s, largely because the ANC Youth League built alliances with a plethora of organizations to make sure that the Defiance campaign was a successful one. So therefore, the ANC Youth League must build formations. We must build alliances with other formations that have shared values and common developmental objectives. We must do everything possible to ensure that never again in South Africa will opportunities that are offered to young people be defined by race, ethnicity, gender, class, or religion. The scourge of racism still continues to define the lives of many institutions in our country. Many institutions continue to resist transformation. Many give lip service to the transformation imperative. Unfortunately, many of such institutions are also institutions of higher learning. These are institutions that are supposed to be the repository of knowledge and progressive thinking. We continue to hear how black young people continue to be discriminated against at a number of universities in our country. We continue to hear worrying tales and accounts of how black young people are treated in the most racist ways, are subjected to racist practices that manifest themselves in a number of ways. We must state unequivocally that there is no place for racism in institutions of higher learning in South Africa. Those who still believe that apartheid can have a safe haven in a number of institutions must immediately know that apartheid has no place in South Africa anymore. We will not tolerate such activities. Apartheid was defeated in 1994. The ANC Youth League, working together with other formations, such as SASCO, has a responsibility, like the youth of 1976. Like the youth of 1976, that youth of 1976 resisted the imposition of Afrikaans on education and on young people in schools. They resisted it quite effectively. The ANC Youth League, working with SASCO and COSAS in various places, needs to lead the charge and make sure that our institutions are free of any form of racism. We need to lead the charge and expose racism. We need to lead the charge to ensure that those institutions conform to the values of our Constitution of non-racism. This is what the ANC Youth League also needs to get involved in. Our Youth League, yes, must be militant. We want a militant ANC Youth League. In case you have forgotten what the word militant means, we want a militant ANC Youth League. That is what the ANC expects. But it must be a militant ANC Youth League without being undisciplined. It must be an ANC Youth League that must be robust, that must be militant, but that must be disciplined. It must use its infinite energy to have fun without being frivolous. It must leverage the power of social media to influence rather than to insult or to inflame, to empower rather than to insult, to share rather than to shock. Like the Youth League that conceptualized and led the Defiance campaign, the ANC Youth League of today must not lose its imagination. It must not lose its mass appeal. It must not lose its force of persuasion. We do not persuade people by force. We do not persuade people by throwing stones. We do not persuade people by acting in a disorderly fashion. We persuade people through our argument, the weight and content and substance of our argument. That is what the ANC Youth League has always been good at. Comrades, the ANC Youth League is the parliament of young people of South Africa. You are the parliament of the youth of our country. It is out of this parliament that the youth of our country want to feel hopeful. It is out of your parliament that the youth of our people, of our country, want to know that you are going to come up with ideas that are going to improve their lives. It is where they share their aspirations, express their views, and craft programs that will advance their common interests. The ANC Youth League belongs to the youth of our country, and it belongs to the people of our country. It is not a vehicle for self-enrichment. It is not a vehicle for patronage. It is not a vehicle for self-aggrandizement. It is not a vehicle for enrichment, comrades. It is not an ANC Youth League that is on sale. This ANC Youth League is not on sale to anybody. It is an ANC Youth League. If you have any idea to buy the ANC Youth League, I have to tell you, it does not come cheap. This ANC Youth League is not cheap. So, the tendencies that are creeping in, where money is being used to buy young people, must come to an end. We must obliterate them. We must obliterate them from the culture of the ANC Youth League. The ANC Youth League is a weighty organization. It is an organization which was formed by the giants of our movement. And when they formed it, they never thought that it would ever go on sale. They never thought that there would be a discount sale written on the window for the ANC Youth League. They never had that in mind. When we voluntarily join the movement, we take a vow that we do so without motives of material advantage or personal gain. That is a vow that all of us who join the African National Congress have to take. We commit to place our energies and our skills at the disposal of the organization and carry out its tasks. We take an oath pledging that we will defend the unity and the integrity of the organization and its principles, and combat any tendency towards disruption or factionalism. That is the oath that we take. We literally take an oath saying we will not get involved in any form of factionalism, that we will abide by the tenets of our Constitution. We therefore look to members of the ANC Youth League to provide leadership even in this area, to earn respect and to set an example. As we rebuild this ANC Youth League, we would like to see a membership of the ANC Youth League that sets the best example for all to behold. An example that says it is in the ANC Youth League that you will find people who are at their best behavior. It was the president of the ANC Youth League, the first president, Anton Lembede, who told the young people of his day that we are not called to peace, comfort, or enjoyment. We are called to hard work. We are called to struggle. We are called to sweat. We need young men and women of high moral stamina and integrity, of courage and vision. In short, we need warriors. This means that we have to develop a new type of youth of stoical discipline, trained to endure suffering and difficulties. It is only this type of youth that will achieve the national liberation of the African people. This was said, comrades, in the 40s by the first president of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Anton Lembede. This is precisely the type of young people who we must find in the ranks of the ANC Youth League today. Young men and women of high moral stamina and integrity. Young men and women of courage and vision. Young men and women who are disciplined. We must find young men and women who are deeply immersed in the politics of our movement. This we will achieve if the young people who are in the ANC Youth League spend more of their time in the political school of the African National Congress, spend more of their time involved in political education. Then we will find this type of young person. If you do not spend time in the political school of our movement, you will not have the ability to have the type of stamina and integrity that Anton Lembede was talking about. If you do not spend time involving yourself in the political education life of our movement, you will not be the type of young person who Anton Lembede was describing. We must find young men and women who are steeped in their understanding of the political economy of our country as well, who are steeped in understanding the history of our country, who are well steeped in also understanding the history of our continent, yes, indeed, and the history of our world. These are the warriors that we need for our age. This is what Anton Lembede was talking about. These are young people who must love reading. These are young people who must love debate. These are young people who must love discussions. These are young people who we will find at the political schools. They must know the glorious history of their movement. They must know the history of the membership and the leadership of this movement. Comrades, as we ponder, as all of you ponder, who should lead the ANC Youth League going forward, as this issue preoccupies your thinking, and we know that in some cases it is foremost in your minds, as you ponder this, cast your eyes back and remember the caliber of leaders who have preceded the leaders that you are going to have an opportunity to choose today. You are an organization that has had the best fortune to have been led by some of the giants of our movement. Leaders such as Anton Lembede, Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, and many others have led your youth league. They would have been sitting here as well, leading this glorious youth league of the African National Congress. So therefore, the leaders that you are going to choose today, tomorrow, should be the type of leaders who you should put up a mirror and say, do they measure up to the Anton Lembedes, to the Nelson Mandelas, to the Walter Sisulus, to the Oliver Tambo of old? Do they even begin to equate to those leaders that our movement has known? You are fortunate because the giants of our movement once led this ANC Youth League. You are therefore walking in the footsteps of giants. You are standing on the shoulders of gigantic leaders of our movement. You are therefore called upon to choose wisely as you ponder the issue of choosing your leaders. Those leaders of old were motivated by one thing and one thing only, to be servants of our people. We should ask ourselves whether the leaders we are going to choose are also going to be the type who will say all we ever want to do is to serve our people. This Congress must therefore send a clear message and a resounding message to the youth of South Africa. It must say with confidence, but with humility, that this is our time as the youth of the African National Congress has arrived. This is the message you must send out as you rise from this Congress. You must say, this is now our time. We have been given the baton of leadership. We have been given the baton of coming up with ideas. We have been given the responsibility of sharpening the full meaning of what economic transformation means. We've been given the baton of taking this movement to a higher level and to the greatest level. This, comrades, is your century. This is your decade. This decade has been handed to you by your forebears, by the leaders who have come before you. Utilize this great opportunity, but start by utilizing it here in this conference, by making sure that the decisions you take, the policies that you adopt, are the types of policies that are going to take our movement forward. This is your moment. This is your movement. Take it forward in your hands and lead South Africa, lead the youth of this country forward. It is now in your hands. Take this movement forward. Thank you very much.
Amandla, we are going to try and gallop a bit because I know you are hungry. Before I call the next speaker, I also want to acknowledge the former Deputy President of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Renald Lamula. Remember, comrades, for those who arrived late, we said there will be no hissing, dissing, howling, heckling, booing, or anything of that nature. So, if you want to do any of that, do it quietly and show no disrespect to the plenary of this Congress. We also have the former SG of the Youth League, Comrade Cindy Somakaka. We have the former Deputy SG of the Youth League, Comrade Kindei Tswemsinogi. The former TG of the Youth League, Comrade Pumezo Mqingwana. I think it also behoves this Congress to remember the late, longest-serving chairperson of the ANC Youth Section, Comrade J.K. Selebi. We have among us delegates from SASCO, Comrade Tutugo Makomboti, President, and Comrade Thabo Majola. From COSAS, the Acting President General, Comrade Khabo Kagiso and the SGs Kosana Kulegani. From the Young Communist League, Comrade Yeshan Pillay, the chairperson, and Comrade Mluleki Dlelanga. We have among our international delegates from the SWAPO Party Youth League of Namibia, Comrade Paulos Mbangu. From ZANU-PF Youth League of Zimbabwe, we have Comrade Malinga and Comrade Tyson Kasukuwere. From JMPLA of Angola, we have Comrade Elvira da Silva Chipenda. From Polisario Front Youth League, we have Comrade Said Brahim Said and Comrade Abnu Blal Embarek, sorry. We have members of the diplomatic corps who are here among us. Mr. Alexander Malishev from the Russian Federation. From the People's Republic of China, Comrades Zhou and Comrade Zhang Chuan. From the delegates want to see our international guests. If they can please just move to the front so that we reintroduce you. Our international guests, including from embassies, Comrade Moyo. You were there when I was elected in 1996. Please come to the front. DSG. I will start again. From SWAPO Party Youth League, Comrade Paulos Mbangu. Amandla delegates.
Amandla! Amandla! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Comrade President Jacob Zuma, viva!
From ZANU-PF Youth League, no, just that they are written both, they are written as two people. Yeah. Okay, just
ANC oye! ZANU-PF oye! Phambili ngokubusa. Phambili ngama youth. Phansi imperialism. Comrade Malinga, National Secretary for International Relations, ZANU-PF Youth League.
Viva ANC, viva! Row young lions, row! Amandla! Amandla! Pansi lama sell out. Comrade Tongai Kasukwere, Treasurer General, ZANU-PF Youth League.
From the High Commission of Zimbabwe, Comrade Moyo.
Slogan. Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Ambassador Moyo of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
We have from MPLA, Comrade Elvira.
Viva o MPLA! Viva JMPLA! Viva o camarada presidente José Eduardo dos Santos! A luta! A vitória!
From Uche the Youth League of the Polisario Front of Western Sahara,
Hello. Viva the ANC, viva! Viva la lucha del pueblo saharaui, viva! Viva el solidaridad con el pueblo saharaui, la ANCYL África! One both and one Africa! Thank you!
amnandi amanye alama language. From the Russian Federation,
Viva comrades, viva! Viva comrades, viva! And from the people of Russia, thank you.
from our old friends, the People's Republic of China.
Viva ANC, viva! Viva youth, viva! Viva Communist Party of China, viva! Thank you.
From the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, our old friends.
Viva comrades, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva the friendship and solidarity between the Republic of South Africa and Vietnam! Viva!
From the Republic of Mandeni. Now, comrades, thank you very much to our international guests. You can now go back to your seats. Abase China and Western Sahara. Now, we are proceeding, comrades, with our program. We shall call now the convener of the entity, Comrade Fikile Mbalula Razmataz.
Amandla! Amandla! Uzoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni. We are the future. No one can stop us. We are the future. No one can stop us. We are members of the African National Congress and we are alive. We are members of the ANC Youth League and we are alive. We are members of our society in South Africa and we are alive. Roar, young lions, roar. Thank you, Comrade Malusi Gigaba, the former president of the ANC Youth League, and all presidents present here of the Youth League, Comrade Lulu Johnson, and comrades, the Secretary General of the Youth League, Comrade Rapu Muligani. Rapu is now the ambassador in Paris. He flew all the way from Paris to Johannesburg. Before he left Paris, he said, "What is this thing of court interdict?" This man and Peter Mokaba raised this generation of young people. And we salute him and his generation of the South African Youth Congress present here. We salute the generation of 1976, represented here today not as a generation, but still alive among us, Billy Masetla. You only know him as a spook, you know, as an intelligent person. But he's a very dangerous generation. Comrades, I want to urge you at some point, before that, to salute the leadership of the ANC and to thank the Deputy President, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, to be among us here and open this Congress. We thank you, Comrade Deputy President, and the leadership of the ANC present here. I know Comrade Naledi Pando was not introduced, but is also here. The ANC have sent us a very high-powered delegation. Abantu abakwazi ukucabanga, abantu abakwazi ukukhokhela. We want to thank you, even though we know that thanking you, it is part of our job on a daily basis. Treasurer General, Deputy Secretary General, you spend money on this Congress, you spend money on this Youth League, because you know what the Youth League must fulfill in terms of its historical mandate. Thank you very much for being here and for honoring us with your presence. We know that tomorrow the president and the only president, Mhlanganyelwa Gedleyihlekisa Jacob Zuma, will be with us. The president is traveling abroad to extend our word of solidarity and strengthen our international relations, in particular with the People's Republic of China, as it celebrates 70 years anniversary of the war with the Japanese and the defeat of fascism. The president will be here tomorrow to give us, early in the morning, you must wake up early, don't be late, a keynote address. Comrades, I want to thank our fraternal organizations, the PYA, which were all acknowledged. We want to thank our friends who were introduced here for coming to this Congress and for continued belief in the work of solidarity and the fight against imperialism. Comrades, I want to ask you all delegates to stand up and remember and not forget heroes in this organization who came before us and those who parted ways who are part of this generation. I want to single out Comrade Castro Esau Mure. I want to single out Thulani Mashaba. These are the comrades who have led the ANC Youth League among this generation and who have been very much committed. I want to salute the comrades who came before us, Jegis Lebi, Peter Mokaba, Fawcett Matebe, Pachana Mukwena. The list is endless. From the beginning of the beginning, 1944 Anthem Limbede and his generation, to the last, Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo. This is the African National Congress Youth League. I want, comrades, before we present the political overview report to this Congress, ask all our delegates to stand up and observe a moment of silence to remember these fallen heroes. Amandla. Amandla. Comrades, when we came in this Congress, our enemies said we will go naked. We will tear each other apart. We will embarrass the African National Congress. And yet what we have seen is a determination to get here. Even some among us giving birth, fighting to come to Galaga Estate for the celebration of the ANC Youth League. Comrades, this is the beginning of an important period in the life of the African National Congress Youth League. You came here, you displayed courage, discipline and determination. Understanding, Comrade Deputy President, the politics of the African National Congress. Gathered here are all comrades from all 9 provinces, from all branches of the ANC Youth League, representing branches of the ANC Youth League across the length and breadth of South Africa. Gathered here are political commissars of the ANC in the future. Gathered here are a bunch of winners in the African National Congress. I saw other comrades when our comrades from MPLR raised the sign of peace. They thought it's Kaizer Chiefs. But that is Bafana Bafana, comrades, that will unite us, leave everything. We are gathered here, comrades, to honor our own commitment to the historic struggle for the liberation of our people from the vantages of colonialism and apartheid. The nature of the challenges that the Youth League faces today obligate us to look deeper into ourselves, to find answers on a number of very critical questions. On this very important occasion, comrades, we must look back if we are to look forward with clarity, lest the ugly past dim the future we seek to build. It is an occasion for self-introspection, as much as it is an occasion for firm resolve on where we must go. While some of us were still part of the Youth League, we drew lessons, comrades, from Marxism-Leninism, particularly on the theoretical outlook of historical and dialectical materialism. Among such leading communists from whom we derived profound lessons was one of the foremost revolutionary internationalists, Che Guevara. In his letter to the Youth League of the Communist Party of Cuba, Che Guevara's advice on the youth were instructive as it is relevant for today's challenges. Che Guevara instructively charges the youth of the Communist Party of Cuba to study why things happen the way they do as a premise to finding solutions on the various social, economic, and political challenges. On this occasion, comrades, it is imperative not just to forge a way forward, but also to investigate and analyze on how we got to where we are today. What none of us can deny, which is self-evident, is that the challenges the ANC Youth League is facing, socially, politically, and economically, are unprecedented. Compounding the challenges which inevitably makes this National Congress unique, in many respects, comrades, are the organizational challenges that speak to the internal processes of the Youth League. Comrades, this is an unprecedented And it is a message we sought to drum even during the preparatory PGCs, that none of us must take pride on the abnormalities where National Congress is convened through the facilitation of a national task team that has been appointed by our glorious movement, the African National Congress. Flowing from this very act wherein the ANC intervened, there was bound to be challenges vis-à-vis the autonomy of the ANC Youth League. It is unprecedented because, in spite of the fact that the ANC took this decision during its 1942 and 1943 annual national conferences to constitute the ANC Youth League, it is ultimately fell on the Youth League within the ANC to actually work out the launch of the organization, which was done in 1944. The Youth League chose the best among the Youth League which served before as part of the evolving generation to convene and be part of the task team of this Congress. Even the relaunch of the ANC Youth League following the 1990 political unbanning occurred as a result of the youth within the African National Congress. Many who had taken various leadership roles in the youth MDM structures, such as the South African Youth Congress, as well as the student organizations. Comrades, it is important to reflect on these historical facts on this occasion, so that we appropriately put into context why we are here and where we are going. Thus, the history of the ANC Youth League unequivocally state how we should have navigated the various challenges that were faced, and we must ask ourselves and answer the question, why the recent developments in the organization manifested themselves in the manner they did. One of the foresight that guided the Youth League activities post-1991, relaunch in KwaNdebele, was the need for organization to adapt to the changing times. Whilst the Youth League boldly stated its manifesto in 1944, the mission of the Youth League had to take into cognizance the fact that we were in 1991 on the course to imminent takeover of power as the African National Congress. That is why the Youth League adopted the twin tasks, which is to champion youth interest and mobilize the youth behind the banner of the ANC. Given the Youth League has failed to adequately chart its path without the intervention of the ANC, it seems probably that in spite of our desire to adapt to the new changing times, perhaps that was not enough. As an organization steeped in the revolutionary theory of historical materialism, we should have foreseen the challenges that were to beset the Youth League. Similarly, we should be able to foresee the challenges that the ANC itself is besieged with. All structures of the ANC and the alliance have faced serious challenges in recent times. Against Che Guevara speaks from his grave that we should study why things they are the way they are. When we speak of the ability to foresee, we are not suggesting that any supernatural or superstitious abilities, but we are speaking in reference to the laws of change that Marxism-Leninism has expounded on us. We are speaking of historical materialism as a scientific investigative tools to the problems of society, socially, economically, and politically. There is no better measure of the actual manifestation of dialectics as the relationship between the Youth League and the ANC. As all of you should know, the 1944 generation were baptized into the contradictory but uniting features as dialectically explained. The generation of Tambo, Mandela, Sisulu, Nkomo, Majombos, and many more relentlessly challenged the ANC on both policy and leadership issues. But they never defined themselves out of the African National Congress as an independent organization within the ANC. A mistake that the Youth League has done in the recent past, inculcating cult within its ranks at the expense of a collective. The Youth League must pride itself of collective leadership rather than cult. But as it has been said before, the difference between 1944 generation and the leadership collective that was disbanded by the ANC comrades was political discipline. Whilst the ANC Youth League 1944 generation contested the ANC with regard to its internal policy and leadership processes, the disbanded Youth League actually challenged the ANC in the public domain, and for this reason effectively ceased to be the Youth League of the ANC. The Youth League under the disbanded NEC vulgarized the ANC and effectively became its biggest political opponent. Daily, the Youth League waged war against the ANC policies and berated its leadership. A new opportunism that cultivated the cult of youth leaders prided itself with perpetual opposition of the ANC, purporting to be more radical than the ANC leadership, whilst advancing ill-conceived policies on nationalization. Fact is, nationalization, comrades, is not necessarily a socialist tool. Some countries that are known to be capitalist have nationalized certain industries, while some countries known to be communist have privatized certain industries. And all this, the appropriate policy is on the balance of the evidence of effectiveness. What must be clear to the Youth League members is that whilst the Youth League can assume various radical postures, the ANC is not a narrow ideological organization, but a broad church encompassing socialists, capitalists, religious people, traditionalists, and others in a diverse membership. Thus, the ANC cannot sing a narrow ideological currency because it must enlist a broad spectrum of our people in its mobilization behind the vision of the NDR. That is why the ANC, we say, it is a multi-class organization. There must be no illusion about the powers that the Youth League has with regards to the changing of the course of our struggle. The example of 1944 generation speak volume about dialectical relation between the Youth League and the ANC, specifically with regard to policy and leadership issues. The Youth League in every society carry the energy, radicalism, and vision to change the social, economic, and political conditions as they exist. But in so doing, comrades, you as the Youth League must go to the structures of the ANC and influence them to take up your policy and leadership proposals, including the National Conference of the ANC, as it were during the Watershed 1949 ANC conference. In this was you will be the reason for dialectical change within the ANC, which is essential if the ANC has to make meaningful strides into the future. Dialectics teaches us of the dying old that seeks to hold on against the tides of the emerging new. It is precisely this theoretical outlook that informed the Youth League stance on many other issues in the African National Congress. Alternately, what we call continuity and change with regard to policies in general. When I said that perhaps we have not adequately addressed ourselves to the challenges of adaptation, it is because we have underestimated the impact of new conditions in the new dispensation vis-à-vis liberation struggle informed by the NDR. There is difference between unity occasioned by the common opposition to colonial and apartheid opposition on the one hand, and unity amidst the vast opportunities of democracy that accrues to us as individuals. The latter occasioned a scramble for resources with behaviors alien to the historic traditions of the organization, which can be characterized as a period of crass materialism. The Deputy President warns us against that. The Youth League is not a vehicle for self-enrichment and cult in the organization. You earn 20,000 in Lutuli House, but you own mansions and farms. This is not the Youth League and its membership that it must actually embrace. We must abhor any sense of value that seek to define any youth, that crass materialism and any other thing. It is something that we celebrate. But we should have been wrong if we had assumed that commitment to struggle in the new dispensation will follow same traits as before 1990, even when clearly the conditions have qualitatively and quantitatively changed. One area where we have lagged behind, comrades, in spite of the many resolutions in this regard, is continuous political education and the induction of all new members beyond the mere oath of membership, as it is the entry point in the ANC, Youth League and the ANC, is now through the election of leadership. Before new members could even discuss any policy or political theory, they are already voting cows to elect leadership. Even if those elected were to fulfill constitutional obligation, but the manner by which leaders at all levels of the organization are elected lends a lot to the culture of self-aggrandizement, a road that is unethical to all that the organization stands for. Crass materialism becomes the norm, and it undermines how the organization is perceived in society. Of course, young people must be associated with good life, but materialism must not be the face of the organization, more so against the abject poverty of many of our people. National Congress must therefore take a new look into the resolution that have been passed by both the Youth League and the ANC on political education. It must be clear to all members that the elected leaders must never be about factional interest, but the political mandate as per Congress resolution at all levels of the organization. If you contest as the prescripts of our internal organizational democracy, those who lose, either with a small or a big margin, must throw their weight behind those who have won. These are the lessons of the African National Congress. We are not going to stop anyone from contesting in this Congress. We are not going to stop anyone to contest in this Congress for any other position. You are allowed to contest. Some of you have crisscrossed the country lobbying on television, even though you thought that it is like a reality show, the Kim Kardashians. But nonetheless, we have allowed all of these comrades to happen because we want to unban lobbying in the organization. It must not be a secret. Every comrade must lobby to the last of your lungs, and then you enjoy the victory of democracy. We have allowed you, comrades, to do all of these things because we pride ourselves of a vibrant youth organization. We must thus deal with the new manifestations in the ANC Youth League, where anarchy is presented as militancy, ill-discipline as radicalism. Taking the organization to court, comrades, as a political recourse is a fundamental misunderstanding of a recourse in the organization. Manipulation of organizational processes and all other tendencies that have increasingly come to define structures, they must be abhorred. In all this, the Constitution and internal democratic processes are supreme. Internal remedies that seek to circumvent the exposure of the organization from external reactionary or counter-revolutionary forces whose sole aim is to defeat the revolutionary agenda must be understood. Thus, the elected leadership must seek to restore the integrity of all internal organizational processes. We must thus expel the rascals and demagogues who are not prepared to embrace our revolutionary ethos in the organization. We must expel those who undermine internal processes with impunity for self-advancement at all costs. We must fire those who think that courts will determine the way forward. We must do a rain check, comrades, on mechanisms we have put in place in the past 20 years on convening of structures for purposes of congresses. We must evaluate the various organizational processes whose subjective weakness may be mortgaging the league to the highest bidder. We must deal with a new form of the bureaucratic bourgeoisie, which is negative for the movement. We must respond collectively to these challenges. The ANC has always learned from the Youth League, and we have always learned from the ANC on how to deal with challenges of this nature. The National Congress must give us those lessons through the resolution that you will make. Even though we seek to build a mass-based organization quantitatively, we must never lose sight of the qualitative progress in membership. Radicalism, comrades, must not be defined within a course of action that utilize our ascendancy to government as a basis to the decisive intervention as stipulated through the concept of the developmental state. It must be a program that considers the high levels of youth unemployment and marginalization as abnormal. Hence the correctness of the war cry from the last National Congress with regards to economic freedom in our lifetime. Beyond progressive rhetoric, National Congress must stipulate how in the balance of forces nationally and internationally, such radical progressive programs can be implemented with agency. Not all is doomed, comrades. You've got everything to celebrate as an ANC Youth League. The ANC Youth League influenced the ANC in the shift in the strategy and tactics, in the relook and adopting the second transition, and saying that this phase is about economic freedom. That came from you as the ANC Youth League. Leave people who have stolen slogans and left with them. The slogan economic freedom resonates with you. Currently, comrades, there are ongoing SRC elections, and the Progressive Youth Alliance has done very well, in spite of the fact that we have had no NEC for some time now. Part of the discussions that this National Congress must be seized with, comrades, is the role of the ANC Youth League branch in the institutions of higher learning. We must stop the contest of leadership between SASCO and the Youth League. We must embrace, comrades, SASCO as the leader of the students and the ANC Youth League branch, strengthening the hegemony of SASCO and all the progressive forces in the institutions of higher learning. We can never abdicate, comrades, our responsibility as a liberation movement on the role we must play in forging transformation through institutions of higher learning. By definition, comrades, the advanced minds, which some prefer to call the vanguard, are often products of the institutions of higher learning. Of course, our take is that there are also organic intellectuals that are a product of the practical experiences of struggle. Institutions of higher learning play a critical role in shaping the mindset of a nation as well as a country's development. Hence, the Youth League can never afford to leave that to chance. We must also take pride that we have consistently been at the center of youth development in South Africa as the ANC Youth League. The history of events and the process since 1994 speak volumes about our role as the ANC Youth League. From the inception of the former National Youth Commission, with its provincial chapters as well as Umsobomvu Youth Fund, to the current situation where we have the National Development Agency. It should be remembered that it was the Youth League that called for the collapse of the UIF and the NYC in order to streamline youth development institutions, comrades. Again, in spite of the organizational challenges the Youth League has faced, the organization did make inputs into the National Youth Policy 2020. Of high importance is the Integrated Youth Development Strategy that must spell out details on how national departments, provincial government and local municipalities must ensure youth development as stipulated in the National Youth Policy. Comrades, the organizational challenges of recent times have undermined organization in many ways. Among such challenges were the role that the Youth League plays with regard to international solidarity. Historically, the Youth League has taken stances on matters of Western Sahara, Palestine, Swaziland, and many other global challenges. The Youth League has taken progressive stances on the North-South dichotomy. Hence, we have been in the forefront of organizations such as UCI, International Union of Socialist Youth, and the World Federation of Democratic Youth, WFDY. We are also in the forefront in establishing the Pan-African Youth Union as a youth instrument to spearhead youth development in the African continent. These are some of the reflections that National Congress must be seized with. As the youth wing of the ruling party, we must internalize challenges faced by the ANC in leading government, even beyond youth matters. It is in this way, comrades, that we can make meaningful contribution in the life of the ANC and our country as a whole. Among others, we must popularize the success that the ANC government has achieved since 1994. On matters of education, health, water provision, social grants, and other immediate provisions that cater for those outside the economic net, the government has performed better than most governments around the world. Whilst a paltry 150 million was granted as bursary in 1994. Today, over 8 billion rand is awarded in bursary loan mix, and this must be celebrated. But we must equally say to Comrade Blayton Zimande, he must move with the necessary speed. He must intervene in addressing challenges that are faced with NFSAS. He must address the intransigent management of universities that don't want to transform. Time to smile with this institution is over, Comrade Blade. You've got the mandate. Run, Komanisi, run. This is our mandate. Make it happen, Comrade. You've got the mandate of the ANC government. Support the students. All these Mickey Mouse political parties that win one institution, like Fort Hare University, and celebrate for the whole year. It is because of NFSAS and our failure to address the challenges that are faced with the students. Let us run with the challenges faced with our institutions. If our government and ministers are moving very slow, comrades, do not be afraid to march and lead the marches and urge government to move with speed. That is our strategic call to you. The ANC, comrades, is advocating for a free, compulsory, non-racial education. If we are not advocating for these issues, they are going to proclaim that these struggles are theirs. We must move ANC Youth League and SASCO, champion the cause of young people in the institutions of higher learning. Don't be seized only with freshers' balls when you are sent to SRC elections. Don't be seized only with issues of sleeping with the management that does not transform. Lead the struggle of the students. Forget about the cars of the SRC. It is just a privilege for 1 year, the car of the SRC. And therefore, you will get a better car once you have graduated. The government has embarked on one of the most ambitious infrastructure programs, which is partly why our economy, comrades, was to some extent insulated against the 2008 global financial meltdown. We have not relied on the colonial apartheid development, but have massively improved road networks, and we have some of the best roads in the world. This brings me to the point, comrades, to my next point, which is the battle of ideas. Those forces we stand to gain from an untransformed economy have relentlessly waged a propaganda war against the African National Congress. It is up to the Youth League to defend the revolution. In spite of the strides we have made, even in the battle against corruption, many still seek to portray our movement in the most extreme negative light. National Congress must be seized with these challenges, including on how we can change the tide of the negative stories that are being told. But there is nothing that we can change because counter-revolution have combined efforts against our glorious movement. We must stand up, comrades, and fight in the battle of ideas. National Congress must discuss how can we seize the institutions of the media, both in terms of ownership as well as the training of progressive journalists that have deeper appreciation of the revolutionary trajectory towards the National Democratic Society. As elaborated through the NDR and the strategy and tactics of the ANC, we must never apologize for that, because the expression of the dominant ideas in the battle of ideas are the most reactionary, unapologetic forces, who some of them even support the opposition openly against the African National Congress. The ANC Youth League must flood the social media space, because today that is where the youth is found. And follow this Congress, hashtag ANC Youth League, hashtag uzoitola kanjani, hashtag we are the future. Thus, as part of this propaganda strategy, comrades, we must encapsulate platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, Snapchat, and every other form of communication. Our reactionaries, that is where they are found. They contest the battle of ideas. We must engage with them. We must not be apologetic. We must take them toe for toe, unapologetically. The Youth League must be found not only on Facebook, it must be found everywhere. And Facebook must not be used to insult and derogate our organization. It must be a platform to defend our revolution. Facebook must not be a platform to undermine the leadership of the ANC and throw insults, as it has actually happened. Facebook must be the gathering of storm of all progressive-minded forces to defend the ANC and the revolution in this particular period. National Congress must be seized with the debate of whether or not we are on course towards realizing the historic objectives of the Freedom Charter. Next year is local government elections, comrades. We must tighten ourselves and get organized to engage yet in another battle. But understand that we are not formed only for an election. We've got a bigger mandate beyond that. It is important, comrades, that as the National Tax Team, we have labored as per the mandate given to us by the ANC. And here we have delivered the 25th National Congress of the ANC Youth League. It was not easy, comrades. These 6 comrades and all provincial secretaries and chairpersons of the Youth League, some who are still very young, comrade, Deputy President, and have got a great future in this organization. We have grappled together, faced every challenge, every moment. Where we have failed, comrades, we own up to our weaknesses and our mistakes. We own up to the challenges that the organization has given us a mandate to convene this particular Congress of the Youth League. You might be sitting there, not happy about this and that process, but don't take it to the heart, because this is not a love project. It is a revolutionary task. We all are going to get out of this process very strong. We will never say to the world that when we end here on the 6th of September, we will be the best, but we know that we are the best. We will work very hard every day to reclaim our glory and our space. I want to say to delegates, pay attention. The ANC will give you every support, every step of the way. There is no Premier League, comrades, that is bigger than the ANC. There is nothing like that. And when people have failed to engage in political discussions, don't allow failures to impose an agenda on you and basically say to you, you are owned by the Premier League. Comrade Rapu Mulikani, the longest serving Secretary General and the only Secretary General, I say to you and your generation, and I'm saying it here on behalf of my colleagues in the task team, it is not for the first time that the leadership of the ANC has fiddled in the Youth League affairs. But the Youth League have always been courageous to engage them and actually chart its own way forward. Do not be afraid even today. Comrades, it is in your destiny to determine what you want. We have given you a chance to express yourself to the best of our ability. And thus, as the National Task Team, we are saying again, we have labored as per the mandate given to us by the ANC. And here we have delivered the 25th National Congress of the Youth League. It has not been an easy task, and it was not going to be easy. There were always going to be suspicions of one form or the other, because we were swimming in muddied waters. But we had to swim, comrades, nonetheless. We could not, and none should betray the noble struggle for which many paid the ultimate price. In this, we were inspired by the long history of illustrious struggle, particularly iconic figures such as Solomon Mahlangu, who never gave up even in the face of death. We therefore present to you, comrades, the true custodians of this glorious organization, the reins of leadership. We are giving you the reins of leadership. We are giving you the ANC Youth League. We are giving you the African National Congress Youth League, the militant organ of the African National Congress. Look after this organization. Look after yourselves. Encourage the ANC at all times. The organizational report will further spell out in more details the challenges we had to deal with and the successes we made in the face of adversity. We must applaud many of you who gave us enormous support, without which failure was a certainty. Part of the challenges of the incoming NEC is to restore the integrity of the organization in terms of the soundness of internal processes. We will not tell you how, however, the answer lies in the instructive message by Che Guevara that we must study why things happen the way they do and accordingly find appropriate answers. We are confident as the entity that we have the capacity to restore the Youth League's glory. The ANC Youth League must be felt among the youth in the length and breadth of our country. Finally, comrades, allow me to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the National Task Team. Mcebisi Skwacha, member of the Youth League, long-serving member of the ANC Youth League. Comrade Notawe Mafu, Umakoko wetu, she was with us all the time. Comrade Malusi Kikaba, the longest-serving president of the ANC Youth League, uncontested and contested sometimes. Comrade Natim Tetwa, our veteran, our leader, our own man who was whipping us into line. Mzala Gamzala, Umnisi, himself, for being the coordinator of this task team and being firm sometimes and never been understood sometimes. And comrades, we worked very hard to ensure the successful convening of this conference. And all the PCs of the Youth League down to the branch. I thank you all, comrades. Some of you were a revelation. If we were not going to serve in this entity, we would have never been here. Before I'm accused about leaving out women, how can I forget Imbogoto, Pinky Muloi, the veteran of the Youth League also, through the structures of the organization. We worked, comrades. Also allow me to thank all the staff at Luthuli House that was assigned to us by the Secretary General and his General's office, who have volunteered to ensure the success of this National Congress. As per the program, the ANC President will give this keynote address to this National Congress, which will reaffirm that we are the youth of the African National Congress. I want to conclude by thanking Istwalandwe, Utatu Mlangeni. Tatu Mlangeni has not been well for quite some time. You know now that he's a retired parliamentarian. I think the youth of the ANC must be proud that from a sick bed, an old man with his stick carried himself to get to this Congress. That means a lot to this organization. And I want all of us to stand up and give Utatu Mlangeni a big round of applause. And I want to thank you for taking time to be with us today. And we want to wish you many, many, many more years. Comrades, this is our treasure. This is what we are left with. That shows that our organization was not born today. We can't be giving lecture about freedom. We fought for freedom. Tate Mlangeni, siyabulela, siyabulela, siyabulela. Thank you very much. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, I thank all our dignitaries and former Youth League members who were already acknowledged. And our comrades to say, hasta la victa, siempre. Victoria, siempre. Patria o muerte, we shall win. Fatherland or death, we shall win. Thank you very much, comrades. I present to you the political overview of the National Task Team. Thank you very much.
Amandla. Amandla. Comrades, let me remind you. No, it's the third and final time, because when we come back from lunch, we are going to deal with the rules of procedure for Congress. What we say must not be done at plenary will not be done. And we will use the rules of Congress and the constitution of the ANC Youth League to ensure that what we say must not be done is not done. Now, we shall later. Oh, thank you very much, Comrade Vuta. Thank you, Comrade Vuta, for the political overview on our behalf. We did not introduce Comrade Mzwandile Masina.
That's why.
I don't know where he is sitting. But wherever he is, he's welcome. Former convener of the previous entity. We have a veteran, former deputy president of SAICO. Some of you were not born. Comrade Nyamezeli Boy, Shadrach. There is some story I was recently told about Comrade Nyami, which I think, since we were asked to uphold high moral stamina, I will not tell this story here. But we shall now adjourn for lunch. Here is an announcement. 1, all delegates must move across. I'm sure as you came in, you saw a hall prepared for lunch. That's where lunch is served. International guests, former leaders of the Youth League, PYA leadership, you will follow this comrade here. Look for him. Make sure he doesn't disappear. He's got some challenge. So in a crowd, he might disappear. Make sure you keep him in your sight at all times. He will lead you to where lunch is. We have 1 hour until we come back. Comrades, we are extremely behind schedule. Make sure you are back at 4. Because exactly at 4 we start with the credentials report. Tsamayang sentle, nihle kahle.